Despite Lagos no longer being the capital of Nigeria, it retains its importance as a center of trade and commerce. As we speak, the city of Lagos remains the main financial center of West Africa. No wonder we talk about Lagos every week on the City of Lagos TV show. Thanks for joining us. The determination to keep Lagos rising for a greater Lagos drives the Lagos State Governor to make strides and quantum leap to deliver on his mandate. Most importantly, the governor is very concerned about delivering good governance to Lagosians. This was very evident in recent activities and engagements of Mr. Governor. Let's now bring you a news expose right on from the governor's office platform on the City of Lagos TV show on TV Nigeria. We'll be right back. First, the recent unveiling of a book dedicated to Governor Babajide Sanwo Olu titled Sanwo Olu Against All Odds reflects deeply and tells the great story of Governor Sanwo Olu's journey in governance, life, and politics.
Look after the count of three. I start. 1, 2, 3.
In his speech presentation, Mr. Governor, who dedicated the book to all Lagosians, philosophically described the book as a true testament of shared hard work and, above all, the power of team spirit to achieve set goals.
Tonight, I found myself in an unusual position, for as a serving governor, I became the subject of a book. Books about leaders are usually written when the story has ended, when the man has left the stage and when the history has had its time to render its verdict. This one is different, and is deliberately so. It was written not in ink first, but in photography. Across thousands of photographs taken over the last 5 years of our first term and into our second term, it holds up a mirror of those years in this administration. And the camera, unlike the pen, does not flutter. It does not exaggerate, and it cannot be persuaded. It simply bears the reality and the witnesses to what it sees. And what is witnessed, ladies and gentlemen, was over really not about just one man. Yes, it is about one man. You will find me in many of these frames, but look closer, and you will find the true subject of this book. The Lagos story, the Lagos herself, the market woman rebuilding her store, the nurse in protective gear who has not seen her family for weeks, the young person holding up a placard demanding to be heard, the engineer on the bridge at dawn, the school child walking into a classroom that did not exist the year before, the 22 million plus Lagosians that are striving, grieving, laughing, insisting, and they are building. This is their book. I'm simply the man that shuttles keeps finding at the center of the frame, but it is certainly not about me alone. And so permit me then to tell you the story of the pages, because it is in a story that I've lived, and because on a night like this, a governor owes his people an honest account. 8 years ago, I answered a call I did not seek. I'd spent my working life in quiet, in banking, in oil and gas, in various cabinets, in the engine rooms of government, in the private sector, connect in the belief that the best work of a public servant is not often done without fanfare. But Lagos called, and when the leadership is thrust upon a man, he must find a way to wear it well. I hope I've been wearing it well. In 2019, the people of the state gave me an overwhelming mandate for a man many of them barely know. And I made them a simple covenant that I would spend every day of my tenure building a greater Lagos, a city that works for the trader in Mushin and usually as it works for the banker on Marina. No leader, however, chooses the time in which he serves. Barely months into our tenure, fire tested us. Then came a pandemic that emptied the streets of this great city, the busiest city in Africa. Lagos became, at that time, the nation's epicenter and the nation's shield. In that same season, a devastating explosion took homes, took life, took school children away. Then our young people rose in protest, and our city passed through the most painful night of my public life. And then a building fell, and in full view of the world, grief upon grief, trial upon trial, any one of which could define an entire tenure. We were given all of them in one single term. I will not stand here and pretend that those seasons did not bruise us. It did, actually. And some of the wounds are still with us. They did. But here is what I hope history will record, and what those photographs prove beyond argument: that Lagos never looks broke, Lagos never looks back, and Lagos never stops building.
In fulfilling its statutory obligations to citizens whose properties and interests has been affected by public infrastructural projects, and to equally affirm the principle of justice, the Governor Babajide Sanwo Olu-led government lived up to its expectations with the presentation of checks to 50 beneficiaries recently in Lagos. Mr. Governor, in his speech, noted specifically that government is about people and governance must have a human face. When efforts are made to transform the city through strategic infrastructures, he however concluded that the greatest good is for the greatest number.
Today, the 20th day of July 2026, we're gathered not merely to present compensating checks, but it's important that we're here to reaffirm a principle that lies in the heart of any responsible government: that governance is about people, that development must always have a human face. Behind every development corridor is a community. Behind any parcel of land, there's a story. Behind every acquisition are individuals, are families, whose lives are directly or indirectly touched by the decision of government at various times. And so for us in Lagos State, we're acknowledging those stories. They are not just optional. They're a moral responsibility for us. So when the state exercises its right under Section 28 and 29 of the Land Use Act to acquire land for overriding public interest, it takes on a solemn obligation in return that we need to compensate those affected. We need to compensate them fairly, we need to compensate them transparently, and we need to compensate them promptly. Today's ceremony is therefore in fulfillment of that obligation. It is not charity, it is justice. It is not a favor, it is your right. Progress that overlooks people, they say it cannot endure. Development that ignores justice, they say it cannot command public trust. So we want to ensure that we're governing with a people face. We want to ensure that we're governing transparently, and we're governing with a serious public trust. So today, presenting well over 3 billion to over 300 individual and projects affected persons whose land or property were acquired for strategic projects across the state. Like Mr. Deputy said about 2 years ago, and KBC also said so, there were larger amounts that were given out to a large expanse of acquisition, schools, petrol stations, churches, mosques, at that ceremony. And so we see every claim that have been verified through a due process. They've done enumeration, we've done professional valuation, and we've confirmed the titles. And so we're ensuring that compensation reaches the rightful owners and no one else. These projects, I believe, are strategic investments into the future of our dear state. We did not take this land to allocate to ourselves.
This land were taken to improve the quality of life for you, for your family, and for your businesses. But in doing that, yes, we might have affected you in one way. Because they always say something. Everybody wants a bridge. It's just that nobody wants it in front of his house. But when you do the bridge, everybody likes it. Everybody wants to ride on it. Everybody knows that it will increase, it improve quality time. But just everybody wants it just away from them. But as a responsible government, our responsibility is to ensure that the greatest good is for the greatest number.
As a responsible government that exhibits concern to its citizens in critical times, the Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo Olu, alongside some key cabinet members and the press, conducted an on-the-spot observation and assessment of the impact of the flood as a result of the intense rainfall in flooded areas of Lagos State. Mr. Governor, in his address to the press, gave an in-depth analysis of factors responsible for the flood and preferred practicable strategic solutions expected to be taken by his government to address the disturbing situation in future.
We've been on like a 3-hour tour, and we've gone to a few of our major channels. We've seen a lot of the tributaries and some of the discharge points, and you saw the extent of the overflow. Extremely very wet land in which the decompile there has to be raised up, but more importantly, because of the volume of water, it overflows on the left and on the right, and it's a natural cause of water. We also saw at the monastery, and you saw that swarm boogie were already working, on that corridor, clearing all of the water hyacinths, and you could see that it was flowing, but it's still consequence of the volume and measurement of water. And here again, towards Ibejuleki town, is Betuwereko, which is another tributary, right? This one is supposed to continue and go all the way, pass through Eleko and eventually discharge into the Lekki Lagoon, which is almost towards the free trade zone. So what, gentlemen of the press, what you can see, why we have been very intentional about the corridors we've taken you to, is to see that water flows a natural channel. When we say Lagos is surrounded by water and several tributaries, you've seen that some of these tributaries are not only natural, but they've been in existence way before. I'm told, even here today now, that from Lekki Lagoon, this same water you see, several decades ago, you can actually log and go all the way to Morocco. All the way to Morocco. So these are natural waters that have been part of the Lagos story. But over the years, what you've also seen is you've seen constriction. You've seen development that have come to meet the natural body of water. And in some places, you've seen from our drone, there's constriction, meaning that people that do not have approval, drainage approval also, have restricted the flow of this water in some places, right? And in some other places, because of natural desilting, because of natural desilting, it has, they will have settled in. That's why we need to come regularly to come and desilt and excavate and evacuate so that there can be flow of it. In all of the journey we have seen today, there is a natural occurrence. There's also a human factor out of it. But I think the volume of water that we have recorded in the last 3-4 weeks in Lagos are largely due to natural occurrence, right? And nature will always take its course. But it's important for me that between the last 2 days, when there's a slowdown of the rain, for us to come out and see where we need to do additional drainage improvement and additional investment in building, clear water channel. Here where we're standing now, we need to come back here at some point before the end of it and come and raise the decompile so that the height will be higher, right, and that the water can flow even a lot more. The other thing is that the swarm boogies that are walking down will get here at some point to ensure that the size of the body of water is maintained.
Once all of that is maintained, at least on this corridor, the water will eventually find itself, to the Lekki Lagoon or into the main lagoon at some point.
And still from the governor's office, the Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has described the theme Nigeria First at the recent Southern Civil Society Organization Summit as a thought-provoking theme which speaks to the real essence of nation building through collective interest to build a cohesive and a united country. Mr. Governor also used the occasion to urge all civil society organizations to pursue, propagate, and sustain the interests of the nation, irrespective of ethnic background or location.
Let me begin by commending the organizers of this summit for the vision and the diligence in conveying this assembly, and for the wisdom that has been reflected in the choice of the theme, Nigeria's First. At a time when our nation stands at a defining crossroad, there could be no more befitting rallying cry and no more befitting assembly to carry this on than the men and women in this room who have devoted their lives to the service of their various communities, country, and more importantly, to their conscience. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Nigeria First is more than just a slogan. It is a creed. It is a summon to every citizen, every leader here, and every institution to place the collective destiny of our nation above narrow consideration of ethnicity, religion, region, or partisanship. It is a call to remember that before you are a Yoruba man, or a Benue man like my SGF, or an Igbo man, or Efik man, or any other one that you might be proud of as your nationality in the southern or the northern, first is that you are always and remain a Nigerian. History teaches us that no nation ever rises to greatness on the strength of its division. The nation we'll admire today became great because at critical moments in their journey, their citizens chose unity over discord. They chose sacrifice over self-interest and nation over fractions. This is the choice before us today. And I'm convinced that if any constituency in Nigeria is equipped to lead this choice, it's you in this room who are members of the civil society group. And so I see the civil society as the lifeblood of every thriving economy. They are the bridge between the government and the governed, the watchdog who hold power to account, the advocates who give choice to the voiceless, and who mobilize, whose mobilization will transcend policy into progress at the very grassroots. From campaign to electoral integrity, to fight against gender-based violence, from community health interventions to promoting of transparency and good governance. Your fingerprints are on many of the most consequential advances of our democratic journey within this First Republic since 1999. But let me also speak frankly, as a friend and as a brother and as a comrade myself, ABA, a very young one, a friend of the civil society. The privilege of holding others to account comes within the corresponding duty to be constructive, to be factual, to be fair, and to be patriotic. Criticism tears down without building up what it serves as one. Advocacy that inflames division rather than heals the betrayal of every community it claims to want to serve. And so the theme of this summit challenges all of us, government and the civil society alike, to elevate our engagement, to disagree with being a disagreeable, but to critique without condemning our nation, our country, and to insist on accountability while never losing the faith in the Nigerian project.
The recent celebration and honor of the Lagos State Deputy Chief of Staff, Engineer Samuel Egube, by the Robo and Isoko Elite Group in Lagos for his exemplary leadership excellence saw in attendance the Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Mr. Governor used the occasion to describe his Deputy Chief of Staff as a leader with exceptional and outstanding leadership character and personality. He equally commended him for his tremendous support to delivering quality service in Lagos State.
This Leadership Excellence Award is presented
to Engineer Sam. Also Egube, HCIB, FNS, on behalf of the Urobo and Usoko elite in Lagos, in recognition of his exemplary leadership, distinguished public service, and outstanding contribution to the development of Lagos State, and I imagine the banking industry, and the pride of the Urobo and Usoko people. Your legacy of excellence, integrity, and selfless service continues to inspire all of us. And so today, it's a day that we're taking to celebrate not just your son, but a distinguished Nigerian, an outstanding professional, a very consummate, cerebral, and very honest man, a man that I have known for over 25 years and who I respect not only his intellectual capacity, but his doggedness and his commitment to things of value. A man that you can go to sleep knowing fully well that any assignment you've given unto him will be dispatched with the highest level of competence, integrity, and professionalism. A dependable ally, a trusted patriot, and a committed family man. Engineer Sam Egube. But it's important, and it's always something of joy when you've done all of this and your home, your tradition, your people choose on their own to want to honor you. And they're not honoring you with a retinue of 300 or 200 other people. They chose a date specific to take you out and to honor you. I believe it's not only deserving, I believe it's something that has been well thought out. And I want to thank all of you that have done this for my very good friend and brother.
While speaking with the press, Engineer Egube submitted that his experience in Lagos has improved his orientation to offer good leadership.
I believe that the experiences you garner in Lagos are experiences, if applied anywhere else in the country, will make a difference. So I'm very happy that not only has Lagos, in recognizing me, gave me the opportunity to work, but also my people from Delta, Urobo and Isoko Elite has also recognized this. And I'm happy, and I submit myself to God, who has made it possible working through very significant and iconic people in my life. I cannot be standing tall here except I stand on the shoulders of those who have gone ahead of me, who have opened doors for me, who have mentored me, and who have given me the chance to work.
And finally, from the governor's office, the recent courtesy visit by the chairman of the Southwest Development Commission and his team, headed by Senator Olubunmi Adetunbi, to Governor Babajide Sanwo Olu, brought to the fore the strategic importance of partnership and collaboration between the Commission and Southwest governors as a strong catalyst for growth. They both emphasized the laudable objective of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's futuristic and proactive thinking in establishing the Southwest Commission and replicating same in other regions.
It's important that at this startup phase of our commission, that we have the buy-in of the governors of the Southwest. And it is not happenstance that we are starting from here, because we recognize your position as the leader of the Southwest, the chairman of the Southwest Governors Forum, and the manager of the biggest subnational economy in this country, and certainly the major driver of the Southwest economy, where we're supposed to be operating. This startup phase is so critical to us because we recognize that if the foundation is faulty, every other thing that is built on it is probably going to suffer structural errors. And that is why we want to lay a solid foundation. And that is a solid foundation of partnership between the Commission and the state governments. Yes, we're a federal agency, but we recognize that the mandate of the people of the Southwest is held by the governors and the governments of the states. We are just a facility of the federal government to ensure that whatever gap exists in execution of policies and intervention and whatever, that we can fill that, but albeit not as an independent, free-loading, free-ranging agency, but working in collaboration and in tandem with our state governor. That's the covenant that all of us as a board have made, that we will want to carry our governors along, and we hope and believe that you will use your good offices as the chair of governors of the Southwest to help us communicate this effectively to your colleagues, that the Southwest Development Commission that was established by the president is going to work seamlessly with the governors and the government of the southwestern states. And we want a situation where whatever it is we are doing resonates well. It's not conflictual, but inclusive of what the governors expect of us. Now, there's a provision in our Act for an advisory committee for the commission. And this advisory committee is populated by the 6 governors and 2 other people to be appointed by Mr. President. I had written a letter to you to this effect, that we want you to use your good offices so that the convening of that committee can be done, because that advice is most significant, very strategic at this initial stage.
I'll start my response by first also thanking you and acknowledging the fact that it's really an engagement where there has to be collaboration with the states on the ground. The commission, as it were, does not have any entity or any physical location. The creation of what are in the states. And it's nice to know that the vision and the objective you have is to be able to work with the leadership of the various states governments that are in the region and be able to develop, working in tandem, interventions that will be people impactful and would ensure that the resources that are available to you are utilized, judiciously, so that the overall objective of that strategic impact will be felt by the people, and they will play a strong complementary role, to the government of the various states in the region. I think that's a strong point for me to also pass on to my colleagues, that we see a true partner in the Southwest Development Commission as a willing commission that would want to work with us and ensure that their vision is not at variance to the objective of what we're driving at our various states. So that being said, it means that we can indeed collaborate very extensively. We can collaborate very well. It's actually also very interesting that the way the commissions have been designed is to ensure that it reflects the true national interest. There are regional interventions, but it has the Nigerian flavor, which is why we need to commend Mr. President for ensuring that the skills are not limited only to the indigenes or the Nigerians from a particular zone, so that there will be real exchange of ideas, cross interactions, and being able to see what is happening in other zones, other regions, and be able to, take them forward so that we see concurrent development in the country.
And that draws the curtain on our news catalog of activities from the Governor's Office platform on the City of Lagos TV show on TV Nigeria. No city today in Nigeria can challenge the strategic importance, relevance, viability, dynamism, and influence of Lagos. This is our beloved city. Thanks for watching.